Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of the Nerf Report. We are back in the studio, and we've got 6 new games that we have to talk about. On top of Fortnite paying homage to the greatest icons in the history of hip-hop, we got a real-life Freddy Fazbear Pizzeria. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is taking the world of gaming by storm, and the US government just used Thundaga, which was strongly effective in the case against games preservation. All of this and much, much more on the comeback episode of the Nerf Report.
Warning, what you are about to watch was made for fans of video games. We do not pretend to be experts, nor do we want to be. Our opinions do not reflect the beliefs of the brands or companies that may appear in this show. If you are a fanboy, toxic piece of sludge, or a grade A asshat, this show may not be for you.
Can you see me?
Let's just film the video.
Zip it! The ghost of Macho Man Randy Savage is here!
Oh my god! Yes, negativity sells, and it sure as hell makes clicking your thumbnails a lot easier. But I, as a gamer, as a nerd, as a creator, I am so tired of being upset for clicks.
Are you listening?
Ladies and gentlemen, paladins and wizards, thank you for coming back for this week's episode of the show. It has been a while, and I understand that I owe some of you an explanation as to where I've been. And I wish I could tell you that it was something important, like having a second child, the dishwasher flooding the house and having to replace cabinets and floors, and on top of that, doing an entire renovation. I wish I could tell you it was something awesome like that. Instead, the reality is something much less cooler.
Thank you guys for shopping. I appreciate it. Don't worry guys, more tomatoes are coming. We got more in the back. Let me just stock this shelf real quick. Got a big sale on tomato puree. Hope you guys like it.
No, in all seriousness, we're back. Yeah, the Nerf Report is back. Weekly episodes. It's kind of been hit and miss. I've kind of been trying to find the flow on YouTube, but the show is definitely going to be back, and we're going to be focusing in on games. Video games. What makes video games fun? I am so tired of talking about negative video game topics. In fact, I'm tired of talking about acquisitions and buyouts and monopolies and whether or not Microsoft owning Activision is going to be the death of the video game. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of saying Xbox sucks, PlayStation sucks, Nintendo sucks. I want to talk about video games. And what better way to do it than our first game of the show, Gang of Frogs, which is a brand new 4-player co-op looter shooter. Check it out.
Welcome, my children, to this weekly performance review. Last week was a disaster. I had to make 3 frogs walk the plank due to your poor performance. You've been armed with new firepower, so get to work. Without teamwork, you're just a bunch of frogs with guns.
You know, fun fact, we've been doing the show for 7 years now, and Fortnite might be the game that has been in every single episode. Like, I legit would put somebody out there and just say, hey, go look back at every episode of the Nerf Report. Fortnite has probably been there. But this week, Fortnite announced a brand new Chapter 2 remix, where the Chapter 2 island has been reimagined, and it will have weekly points of interest and weapon drops inspired by some of the greatest icons in the music industry, including Snoop, D.O.G.G., Eminem, Ice Spice, and Juice WRLD. You probably can tell that I recognize 2 of those names. And according to Fortnite, because of the remix, on week 1, the agency will be becoming the Dog Pound, and players will earn Snoop's Drum Gun Mythic if you defeat the Dogfather. Week 2, the Grotto Lair will become Spaghetti Grotto, because Mom Spaghetti of course. If you defeat Eminem, he will join your side and give you the RG minigun. Week 3, the Shark is now the Ice Isle with Ice Spice. If you defeat Ice, you can add her to your team and get Ice Spice's Grappler and Rifle Mythic. That honestly sounds like something from Dunkin' Donuts. And of course, week 4 is being teased as Juice World. We're still waiting on the exact details of what Fortnite has in store, but stay tuned here. And from the world of Fortnite, I definitely wanted to showcase this game because I am a massive fan of horror video games. We just got done with Halloween. I hope your family had a great one. But this game is a brand new horror video game. It's a found footage video game that focuses in on audio. And not just the audio you're listening to, it's the audio from your mic. So if you're breathing heavily, if you're a mouth breather like me, you're screwed. So without further ado, let's check out a brand new game trailer from the fantastic horror video game, Don't Scream. Call of Duty is having a banger launch. You know, I find it so fascinating that we go through this roller coaster with Call of Duty where the people that play it, right, like the diehard streamers, the Dr. Disrespects, the Tim the Tatmans, the Nick Mercs of the world, like they're always like, this game sucks, oh, the audio, oh, I hate Call of Duty, this game is absolute garbage. But then you look at how the game performs and you're just like, holy hell. Like either these streamers are so out of touch, they're probably burnt out from playing the game so much, but just seeing the success that Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is having right now is absolutely insane. The stat I heard was that this was the most successful Call of Duty ever. In fact, Activision put out this infographic this week that said that Black Ops 6 is the biggest 3-day opening weekend for Call of Duty as a franchise. With the largest player base in Call of Duty history, not done. The most accumulated hours in Call of Duty history, not done. And the most matches completed in Call of Duty history. I mean, the game's popularity is huge. It's undeniable the effect that Call of Duty is having on culture. And I think even if you go on like social media or even like on the TikTok, I was on there today, everybody is streaming Call of Duty. A couple weeks ago, everybody was streaming Trading Card Game Simulator. Hey, whatever floats your boat. But that game is not being streamed as much because of Call of Duty. In fact, I've got to think that there's some pretty sad NPCs out there that are showing up to the trading card store just to get their like Tetramons. And the stores are now shut down because their owners are playing Call of Duty. In fact, some may call that an epidemic.
America is suffering from an epidemic of small business closures. On every street corner, locally run trading card shops that once were thriving hotspots for fans of Tetramon Duel monsters, now abandoned.
Yeah, I was walking down the street and came to my local card store and there was a sign on the door that said, "Store closed, gone to war," which is fine, but like, where am I supposed to get my Tetramon cards at?
I'm just saying, if you're gonna go to war, at least leave the keys with someone else so we can all get our Tetramon cards.
Following the recent attacks from the paramilitary group Pantheon, many trading card game store owners have abandoned their shops and enlisted in defending their countries and their freedoms.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why they're upset, but don't they understand it's Call of Duty. When Call of Duty comes out, you don't not play it. Trading Card Game Simulator will always be there. First week of Call of Duty, yeah, that's something special.
And while our hearts go out to those brave soldiers defending our freedoms, we can't help but feel for the hundreds of NPCs who have lost their homes due to this conflict.
But anyway, to wrap this all up, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is available almost everywhere right now. Xbox, PlayStation, PC. It's not available on Nintendo, and it's also not available on the Intellivision Amico, so I shouldn't have said everywhere. An apology to the Intellivision fans. I know I got you extremely excited there. But, hey, from one new game, let's talk about another brand new game that has me extremely excited. We have a horror farming simulator game. 2 words I never thought I would want in my life, but we have it, and I absolutely want to check this out. Here's a brand new trailer for a game called We Harvest Shadows.
How long has it been? 5 days? 6? I need to get up. But no matter how much I sleep, I still feel tired. Maybe it's because the nights here feel unsettling. The only thing that brings me a bit of comfort is that I'll never talk to another human being ever again. I've decided that this abandoned farm will be the place where I die. But until then, that leaves me with the ever-pressing question. How do I fill the time? There's always a lot to do on a farm, and it's good to keep busy. It gets your mind off things, like the things you've lost. We'll see what winter brings after the harvest.
And look, I've said it so many times on the show, horror games, I absolutely adore them. And I love horror as a genre. I think it's one of the coolest genres where you can actually be creative still. Like, nobody questions and no one's like, actually, how did you pull that up? It's a horror movie. Nobody questions it. People just die and people are scared. And I think it's like, that's what's cool about the horror genre. But I also have a huge obsession with the Universal monsters. And this has nothing to do with video games, but I wanted to share it with you guys because I think it's cool. In case you missed it, Universal Studios is opening a brand new theme park in Orlando. And one of the areas is kind of like this dark universe, which is where they have like all their Frankensteins and Swamp Things and Dracula and hopefully the Mummy. But like, they showed off their brand new animatronics today. They are nuts. Like, they showed off this wolf man that looks extremely lifelike. Frankenstein looks super cool. And I gotta remind myself sometimes when I'm watching this, like, when you look at the animatronics, you're like, they don't look super real. But I'm also like, in a haunted house, it doesn't look good until you light it up, right? You darken the lights and you light it up. They're going to look super realistic. I mean, the movements are fantastic. Way better than the Disney World Galaxy's Edge Kylo Ren, who's like, oh! I mean, Universal knocked it out of the park. Cannot wait to go to Dark Universe myself. But I cannot wait for this next game. Kind of a perfect segue. This next game looks absolutely awesome. It's a first-person interstellar space adventure game set on the moon. No other need for an intro. That's like the perfect thing you could say. First-person interstellar adventure game set on the moon. Sign me up. So we officially have gotten a real Freddy Fazbear pizzeria. And shout out to the team over at FaZe Rug, because they filmed this really great video where they kind of like rebuilt a Freddy Fazbear pizzeria in like a local Chuck E. Cheese type of restaurant, and he hired his friends to dress up as the Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics and hunt him and kill him, which I'd like to see that stand up in court. Like, why'd you kill him? I mean, he hired us. He hired us to get in animatronic costumes and kill him. But anyway, this video is great. If you haven't checked it out, I'm going to link it in the description down below. They locked Brian into a room for like 6 hours, and they actually gave him like a battery life, so every time he checked the camera, the battery would drain just like in the video game. And the friends who were dressed up as animatronics had to complete challenges in order to get tickets, and once they got 5 tickets, they could attack Brian in the room, and he could like slam the doors before 6 a.m. This was a great video. I definitely wanted to give it a shout out as a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's, but also I think it just fits perfectly into the gaming culture. Check it out, FaZe Rug's new video, I Survived Five Nights at Freddy's. And kind of fun show fact, we did a video back in the day with Five Nights at Freddy's where it was my first time playing it. And I was kind of like taken back by the idea of the game, right? Like your security guard who gets hired at a pizzeria where all the other security guards have technically died. Like, it's got to be in the news. So we posted a Craigslist article saying, like, we're hiring overnight security for a new pizzeria. All you got to do is kind of watch the cameras. We got, like, 5 or 6 applications, like, of people who were open to working for the pizzeria. So, again, it's just so strange to me that this is kind of a phenomenon. One guy did know. He was like, is this for Freddy Fazbear's? And I was like, we're not hiring him. But another guy was like, I'm a Marine. Former Marine, I'm a veteran, and this was a perfect job for me. Please give me a call. Anyway, that has nothing to do with FaZe Rug's video, but check it out. I Survived Five Nights at Freddy's. But we also have a brand new game trailer to show you before we jump into this week's main story. It's a really cool one. This one comes from the PUBG team. It's a top-down 5v5 PvP shooter, and of course, it's from Team PUBG. Dare I say, the biggest story of this week has to be the U.S. Trade Office kind of denying a request for games preservation. In case you missed this story came from Games Radar. Dustin Bailey over there wrote this fantastic article in which it says that the U.S. Copyright Office has denied a request for a DMCA exemption that would allow libraries to remotely share digital access to preserved video games. And for you youngins out there, I get this isn't a big issue, but for like an old gamer like me who misses the games of my childhood, this has been growingly kind of a big issue for me because I want to play the games of my childhood. I grew up with the N64, the Super Nintendo, the PlayStation 1, so on, so on, so on. Tell me how old I am in the comment section down below. But getting games for those consoles, or let alone getting the consoles, has become a nightmare. And I don't know if it's just because I'm like a dad of 2 now, and like budget-wise, I'm like, that's too expensive. Shut off the lights. Like, save electricity. We can't be spending this much. But like looking at some of the N64 games, it's absolutely absurd how much these things cost these days. So the idea of this was basically saying, like, we want to create a library of video games where researchers or people who are studying video game can access it and go into there and be like, hey, you know what? Sega had this really great game that launched with the Genesis. I want to play it. And instead of them having to go and get a Genesis offline, buy the Sega game, and of course figure out how the hell to plug it into your TV. Like, kids, you want to feel old. Try taking the yellow, red, and white wires and going to the back of your flat screen TV and being like, well, this isn't going to work. Yeah, straight to Amazon, get like an HDMI adapter, plug it in. But, I mean, God, it's just, playing retro games has become so frustrating. And emulation, where you could go on a site and be able to access those games just by clicking it, I mean, it does have its benefits. It's a million times easier. And what I found interesting about this was the Video Game History Foundation estimates that 87% of all video games that have been released in the United States before the year 2010 are facing extinction, which is a wild way to word that, because now the pandas, the sea turtles, the whales, and the tigers of the world are going to have to take a back seat, because all that matters is preservation of Tomb Raider. Apologies to the pandas, but we must save Lara Croft at all costs. Imagine a digital library where like historians maintained consoles, maintained digital consoles, and maintained digital games, where if you were doing a study or if you were doing an article and you're like, man, I really need to talk about Sonic 1, but I can't buy it, you could get into this library, prove that you're trying to like write an article, and you could get access to it. That's an awesome idea. However, unfortunately, in the eyes of the US Copyright Office, they don't think it's cool, because they said no. Back to the Games Radar article, the US Copyright Office said that there would be a significant risk that preserved video games would be used for recreational purposes. Duh. Which, again, is really kind of the complicated matter here, because yes, you could argue like we're trying to preserve it, we're trying to protect it for science, for history, but you're also going to have like your 20-year-old kid who's like, look what I got running on my Switch, man. And that's the issue here. It's like, you're never going to convince the ESA or all the developers to get behind this. But again, I do think the idea of having like a video game archive, kind of like the Jedi archives that you see in Star Wars, but like it's just video games. And I could walk up to this archive in person or digitally and be like, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, PlayStation 2. And then, boom, it comes up. That would be so sick. But again, nightmare to accomplish. And I completely understand why developers don't want it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Where do you land here on game preservation? Are you a fan of it? Do you think it should be kind of a legal emulation? Please let me know in the comment section down below. And while you're typing that, how about a new game trailer? Kart racing. Everybody loves a good kart racer. Here's a brand new game called The Karters 2. Kind of struggled on where to wrap up this comeback episode, because it has been a while since we've last talked, and I wanted to give you kind of my vision of the channel and where I think that this is headed. Number one, this is the first step, right? We've been doing this for 7 years, but I don't want to look at the last 7 years as like the foundation of what we're building. This is something different. This is a weekly show. This is going to be a community show. So like, I want y'all to be involved just as much as me. If you have clips of freaking awesome things that you've done in a video game during the week, please, I want you to submit it in the description of this video. We have weekly submissions. There's an email right there. Send them to there. I want to start doing membership exclusive content. You know, obviously this show we've been doing for free for years, and we have had some fantastic patrons who've supported us for all of those 7 years, and I'm so grateful for them. And I want to start creating some content that's kind of for them exclusively. So there will be member-only videos that will be coming out. However, these weekly shows, these weekly news recaps, the Nerf Report, if you will, those are going to be 100% free of charge. There will be no paywall. If you want to expand it and you want to support the show, thank you so much. Thank you for seeing the vision that we're trying to accomplish and hopefully change the video game to be more positive. I want to do game nights where we all come together as a community maybe once or twice a month, and we play video games together, and we can live stream it or play it from the studio, and you guys can join in and be a part of the show. And like I said, I want to bring other voices. I want to bring developers. I want to bring other gamers. I want to just celebrate video games and quite frankly, just be a fan. Like, that's the goal of this show. This show, we talk about news. We talk about topics. We talk about genres. But like, I just want to make this a place where people who are fans of video games can come and enjoy it. That while you're playing whatever game you're playing right now, you can just pop this in your earbuds and listen to it while you're grinding away. And that is kind of the goal. But yeah, I want to bring on other hosts. I want to maybe have a panel where I can throw ideas to people on the show and they can kind of give differing ideas. Because at the end of the day, I'm just a dude in the garage talking about video games. But I'd like to have other dudes who film from their garage or from their mom's basement or from their spare bedroom to come on this show and share their opinions, because this isn't just about me, it's about all of us. And finally, the last thing that I can kind of tease y'all is gameplay. Somewhere along the lines in the last 7 years, we talked about games more than we played games, and that is going to stop. So we're gonna fix that, because that's a wild problem to have here on a video game channel. We're gonna have gameplays, whether it'll be on like a Nerf gaming channel or whether it'll be here. That hasn't been decided, but we're 100% gonna be playing video games, and we're gonna be filming them here to kind of going in. But on top of that, we're gonna grow. We're gonna grow this show. We're gonna grow it. Maybe I've got a couple ideas up here of like a movie, of documentaries, some stuff I'd like to do. But for the most part, the Nerf Report is coming back for a weekly show. We will have member-exclusive videos that will be launching here in the next couple weeks. If you would like to be a member, it's not required to watch the show, but it's greatly appreciated, and it helps us improve this show. And that's the one thing I will say. Every dollar that's been donated has been put towards this show for lights, green screens, cameras, microphones. It 100% improves it. And maybe it allows us to pay for other people to come on the show as well. So please help me with that if you would like to. And of course, gameplays. We're going to be playing video games. A lot of them. We're going to be playing a lot of video games. And I want to share that with you guys. But at the end of the day, be a fan. That's the goal. The Nerf Report, we're fans of video games. We're not here to criticize. We're not here to complain. We're not here to gripe. We're here to play and be fans of video games. I think it's called Nerf Gaming News for Gamers. That's what we need to be. We need to be a show for gamers. Not a show that divides gamers. We need to be a show that gamers can celebrate together. So, with that, thank y'all so much for watching. I have missed y'all. I hope you guys have missed me. And if you didn't, don't tell me in the comment section. Don't be like, God, I can't believe you're back. I hope you were gone. But I really do appreciate the opportunity to talk with y'all on a weekly basis. And if you enjoyed the show, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, share it with your grandmas. Thank you guys. This is, I am very, very excited for the future of this show. So without further ado, see you guys next week.